Wait, I don't know if you follow it,
hmm
but don't mention the Masters. I got it on DVR.
I was watching
I
that
don't want to
too with
know
the
what happened,
chickens.
huh?
Don't I won't tell you anything that happens at all.
Okay.
They it's a really good ending. Let's know that.
As of right now, it appears the wheels have completely come off the DeChambeau.
hmm
Rory's doing
Who,
well. Rose is doing well.
who's
Uh,
your favorite golfer?
it used to be Phil Mickelson.
Okay.
I followed him for
Interesting.
years and years. He went to live and started looking like a slob. Anyway, the guy I've been following the most more recently is Rory.
Okay. Same
And
here.
I was big on him when he was new, when he was winning green jackets about 20 years ago.
hmm
And he fought really hard to keep guys in the PGA. Uh,
Yep.
he was completely misled by the PGA while
Yep.
he was golfing, touring, going to uh, players' unions meetings, going to PGA meetings. He was working his ass off while everybody else was
Yep.
going home.
Yep.
The whole time, the PGA knew they were going to
Merged with Liv,
merge with Live.
which is wrong that they did that to him.
It
And
was,
I thought it was slimy as well. He's been my favorite golfer since Tiger. So
yeah,
Tiger was my favorite. I mean, I always loved John Daly too. Like that was my.
yeah, he's a
But
character.
I do.
This is the Free Zone Communiqué, transmitting from Virginia's unoccupied sector. If you think smart cities, DEI, censorship, government intrusion, bug paste, and other left-wing nonsense are no longer a possibility, think again. We've won one election with slim majorities. Our work to rebuild a free and sane America has just begun.
This is the Free Zone Communique, bringing hope to victims trapped behind the wire in blue cities. Tonight we have a returning guest. Got to do a Delco alert. We're back in Delco. But again, this was one of those things. I just happened to talk to a guy about politics, and he happened to be from Delco. But I'm learning a lot about Delco, my hometown. I never knew. And Charlie is going to give us a lot of poop about the town. He has been forced off the ballot because they fear him, and they should. He's fighting his way back on. I believe the primary is going to be held in late May. So, Delco Bubbas, all my buddies in Delco, get behind Charlie. I'm going to talk to Charlie about funding, and I'll leave a link below the media line. And just get behind him, get behind Charlie, and vote for him in the primary. I don't know if the Delco primary is an open primary. I don't think it is, but it might be. Charlie doesn't care about what your party affiliation is. He's running on GOP, but the GOP is the hardest on him right now in terms of twisting his nuts. His motivation has nothing to do with party affiliation. The problems he sees in Delaware County cut across all party lines, all races, all ages. The hospitals, the schools, the illegals. There's just, 20 people to a house when that is blatantly illegal. He's fighting for all this. So I'm going to bring Charlie on, and we'll talk more and look for all the links and everything we refer to in our discussions below the media line.
Please hang up and try again.
At the bottom of the page, I'll leave links where you can find all our stuff. Wherever you get to P4B in the Free Zone, please follow, subscribe, leave reviews and comments, and share, share, share. This is how we grow. I'll leave a link to where you can support the P4B directly so you too can be a political party pooper. But the most pleasure you can get by supporting us is to shop Ho River. I'll leave samples and links for that as well. Thanks to all our supporters and subscribers.
It's frozen on my end again. Now it looks better.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. So long as we can see your pretty face and hear you talking. So, how is your health these days?
I had a little bit of a health scare last week just because of I got sick. And I hadn't been sick at all during this whole process. And so I learned how fragile somebody that is on chemotherapy is last week. And I definitely was dehydrated. And that was the biggest, keeping fluids in me was the biggest issue. And I ended up being able to get myself under control by last Thursday or Friday, and then by Monday I had made a complete recovery.
Yeah.
So right now I'm great. I go into my last round of chemo tomorrow morning, and so
So that's one.
I am hoping that we
one
get a
more
quick week
right?
through it.
That's
One more week, and then I'm going to detox this stuff out of my body because I don't want it in there any longer than it needs to be. So.
What's the doc think right now? Has he got any impressions?
So he told me that everything that I'm going through should be a 99% chance that he wouldn't give me 100, and they don't do that. He said it's a 99% chance that this process kills what I have. So that's why we went with what we went with. I learned some things this past weekend that might have made chemotherapy not needed. So it winds up matcha tea has a really good chance of killing what I had. And there's a lot of studies on this in China and Japan and a couple other places that were sent to me this weekend.
Yeah.
And it was my exact cancer, and it would have targeted it. And so I wish I would have known that when I started this process. I did drink a bunch of matcha tea this past weekend.
Well,
So,
it's something to keep an eye on because sometimes it can sneak back up on you.
and that's the scary part too. So that was the other thing the doctor kept saying, that yes, I could kill it the ways that I was talking, but he was afraid that it would come back to haunt me later on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I listen, I did what the doctor asked me to do. I can't believe I'm at week 4 of chemotherapy, because if you would have told me a year ago that I would have done chemotherapy, I would have told you you're a liar. that would never happen in my lifetime. But here I am going through week 4. So,
Well, good. I mean, you're kicking ass. That's the name of the game.
Yep.
When I first heard you had the big C, I was like, oh shit, But you look great.
Thank you. I want to get rid of the puffiness. I don't know if you could tell, but it is.
You'll get rid of the puffiness, and your beard will come back. It might come back different.
You know what? I think I'm
your hair to chemo. It comes back curlier or a different color.
So it was already a red beard.
You'll look like me. I mean, how good can it be?
It's possible. I don't know if I'm going to regrow the beard. This will be the first time I announce that publicly. I think I'm going to ride with my face from now on. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen my face.
Yeah, you were a hairy beast back then.
I was a hairy beast. It's funny.
I remember Ron and I agreed that you looked like an angry Hell's Angel at the time.
They tried to paint us as that too. That's the scariest part, is they really tried to paint me and people around me as like dangerous people. Like myself and Gary Ryder, we couldn't be two of the nicest people you can meet in an alley. I mean, we don't harm anyone.
Yeah.
And that's been as you could see on Twitter, that's been their rhetoric, Matt. Like they want to paint me, and they use the Inquirer for this as well. They want to paint me as some kind of dangerous and angry individual.
I couldn't be. That's the killer. For those who don't know, uh, when Charlie first came on, he was just a guy with a beef with his county who decided he wanted to take on politicians.
Yeah.
Unlike most people I know, Charlie then put his money where his mouth is and decided to run for office. I haven't got all the facts. The reason Charlie's here is to get me caught up. But I can say without the slightest doubt, just watching and reading headlines, reading messages, that Delaware County has become every bit as creepy and dirty and slimy as the swamp, as the Beltway.
Yeah.
And it's a damn shame.
It is. To be honest with you, though, Matt, I think it's been this way for a very long time. I think we ignored it because the health, welfare, and safety of everybody in the county was well taken care of under those individuals. And now they were lying in their pockets, but they weren't, let's put it this way, they weren't pushing us off the fiscal cliff. And now that Delaware County is not as safe as it was 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, Delaware County 5 years ago is almost unrecognizable today. I drive through Upper Darby, and that's the heart of Delaware County to me, is Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, right?
Right.
That is the biggest town. That is the most important town in Delaware County. Media and Chester, they're a far second, in my opinion. Upper Darby is where everything was done. You had Severa was a county council member. He came out of Upper Darby. I mean, you had all these important people were from Upper Darby. And the town was a great town to grow up in. Bywood was one of the great neighborhoods to be in when I was a kid. I mean, even before then, you had a bike shop, you had my grandfather's store, you had a hairdresser that was out of this world in Marine Greg's. You had the Bywood Inn was a great place to eat, whether it was stark and dreary or not. My grandfather and I got some of the best sandwiches of my life out of that Bywood Inn.
Yeah.
And you look at that neighborhood today and you have closed up shops. Everything that was there is now gone. Bywood Seafood, that was a staple since the, 40s or 50s, is gone.
69th Street's become like a zoo, right?
I mean, 69th Street, the amount of money that should be able to come into this county just through 69th Street would be beneficial to everybody, but it's so dangerous and not. I watched a beating in front of 69th Street Station where 6 men dragged the man out, and I got video of it, and it was out there a while ago, and where I watched 6 men drag a man and beat him in the middle of Westchester Pike and then hold him there for cars to run over. And I think to myself, how is this the Upper Darby that we used to have?
Crazy. There was a time before, this is going back a ways, before Springfield Mall, before Granite Run Mall.
Mm-hmm.
69th Street was the retail income for the entire county.
Oh, guaranteed. It was, I mean, you had Sears, you had all these stores that were so important to, I mean, you had the uniform store for everybody to buy their school uniforms was there. Everything was right there at 69th Street Station, and everybody would ride the L there or ride the trolley over to 69th Street. And I wouldn't walk there right now. There's no way you could pay me enough money to walk in there.
No.
And that's sad.
Walk there at midnight when I was growing.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could.
Liable to get shot walking there at midnight.
It's just not the same town, unfortunately, because of who our number one, Timothy Bernhardt, is just not the man that he filled the shoes of. And he can't fill those shoes of Michael Chitwood. And secondly, you have Jack Stolzheimer, who, if we elect him to the judicial bench here in Delaware County, we're doing ourselves such a disservice, because not only is he a terrible district attorney, he'll make a worse judge. I mean, there's something that was just posted to Facebook tonight, and this is the first time I'm getting to talk about it. So a friend of mine, Michael, who I did not know this was a situation he had going on in his life, His daughter is a special needs student at the DCIU here in Marple Township. Well, the Marple police addressed the issue, but as they told Michael, the district attorney wouldn't press charges, so there was no need to arrest the woman. And this woman had abused his special needs daughter in a classroom, and the video it's horrible. It's on my Facebook.
They spoke to CBS News Philadelphia after they say their 13-year-old autistic son was punched in the face by a worker at Drexel Hill Middle School. Upper Darby police say they have video and are working with the school district to get to the bottom of it.
We are here to assure everyone that we are on top of it. We are investigating it. And if there are charges to be brought, we will bring those charges. One thing that I want to make clear to everyone, every parent, every student, everyone in this school district, is that we take any and all complaints or incidents seriously.
It's in the Concerned Citizens of Delaware County now. I mean, that can go on where a woman could punch a special needs child in the back of the head and not face any criminal charges. That tells you that your county's judicial system is broken and that the people that are stewarding that, they need to be removed. And that's where we're at with
Yeah, and we're talking en masse. You're just one guy. Without a doubt, if you can find yourself a seat on county council, you can make an impact.
Oh, absolutely.
At a bare minimum, you can enjoy shaming these people into maybe doing something or doing a little bit, but also
Because
you're an example.
Mhm.
To all my Delco bubbas, Delco is so much a microcosm of the United States now.
100%.
But this is your guy. Charlie's your guy. He is, in terms of why he's doing what he's doing, he's pure of heart, and he is being made a target by the political hacks, which should tell you that he's your guy. You know,
I would think.
He's the enemy to the career politician maggot.
Yeah.
That's Charlie Alexander.
And I've avoided this my whole life. I am fine with that being my life. I don't need to be
And
rich.
we didn't need back then. We didn't need a Charlie Alexander all that badly.
No, and then I'm
See,
watching things.
You know, when Philly would eat up our electorate, freaking Philly, that makes me sick.
And I watched this past summer and this past spring, and then fall. I mean, all the way through, and I'm watching what's going on at the county level for the first time in my life. And then I started reading the old and watching some of the old county council meetings and reading their agendas. They weren't spending like this 3 years ago. They kind of just took off about 2 years ago and really started spending our money at a rate it's frightening. So there wasn't really a need to watch what was going on because it wasn't progressing at the level that it is now. And then seeing it firsthand, nobody was paying attention to this other than Joy Schwartz and Leah Hoops and Greg Sternstrom and their group. They were paying attention, and I wish we all were.
Yeah.
I wish I had been paying attention because I would have seen what was going on and where it was heading. And maybe we could have stopped this 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe if we had all gotten behind Joy Schwartz, Bill Denon, and those others that were running, maybe they would have won, and we could have turned this county over quicker. Because I'll tell you, Joy Schwartz in that position over Elaine Paul Schaefer or Christine Ruther, and you have an individual that cares about their county and where they live. And it seems to me a lot of these people today, including the GOP and the Democrats, they care about party and party ideology over the people that are here.
Yeah.
They're not looking to help everybody. Number one, I'm not running for Delaware County just for Republicans. I'm running to represent everybody of Delaware County, white, black, Asian, indifferent, whoever.
That's like Kurt Weldon. You're like Kurt Weldon. Did you know? I don't know if you caught his show. he ran on both tickets.
Did he really?
In Marcus Hook, he ran
Oh,
as
no.
a Democrat and a Republican because he had support in both parties, and both parties nominated him.
Isn't that great? And that's what should happen in
And that's
Delaware
how he's
County.
treated people all along. All along. He's a hothead. He can really lean in and touch noses,
Hmm.
but he always had friends in both parties.
And that's how everybody should be. And the funniest is lately, the messages I've been getting that are like well wishes for me, they've been coming from our county council. And I've actually, and I publicly would like to thank them for that because they've been too kind with their well wishes. And honestly, they've been nicer to me than the GOP has. And so,
That's disgusting. What is what is the latest? I know one of those or more than one of those knuckleheads sued to get you off the ballot.
so what they did is Megan Wagner of she's the solicitor of the GOP, but she's also the a council member in Upper Darby.
Right.
So she contacted the one office inside of Delaware County and saw if I had submitted my paperwork there. Now I had submitted my paperwork. It didn't make its way to the office like it was supposed to. That's where the problem is.
Right.
Um, and so she had contacted Scatolino, who's in charge of that office, and she was not allowed to be involved in any case because she's an Upper Darby council member. She then solicited, which is illegal, by the way, three individuals that never contacted that office, had no idea that that woman said that. The only person that did was Megan Wagner. Megan Wagner contacted those three individuals, hooked them up with the Zimmelong law firm with James Fitzpatrick. So she hired them too. And the money that came to hire them did not come out of those three individuals. I guarantee you that. That was GOP money.
Yeah.
And so they hired them. And I'm sure it was a hefty paycheck to Zimmelong, right? So they went that route. Two of the individuals are people that have been convicted of child abuse. The third individual is somebody that owes a whole lot of money to many people. And on top of it, included Megan Wagner's email as their evidence. So when I got to cross-examine, well, let's talk what happened in the courtroom. So we get to the courtroom. They were not prepared for court whatsoever.
Right.
One of our solicitors for Delaware County actually jumped in without announcing himself. You know how lawyers have to make their appearance in court, and they have to give their license number and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
He jumped in without giving his license number, never announced himself who he was. With, by the way, he is a conflict of interest with the Judge Pagano. So he wasn't allowed to involve himself, but jumped into the case and helped the unprepared James Fitzpatrick go and prepare a subpoena for the woman in that office so that they can interview her, right?
Yeah.
As a witness. And so he allowed a recess, Judge Pagano, of 15 minutes. Let them run and go get it, or go get the woman.
Holy
which
shit.
wasn't allowed, by the way.
Why did the judge even bother to have a procedure? They're all teaming up. They're all on one team.
Exactly. They teamed up against me, the judge included. I then cross-examined the woman, show that no one had contacted her from the legal team or the three individuals that are involved, and that Megan Wagner is the only person that contacted her. That's all on the recording.
Yeah.
And it shows that Megan Wagner was not allowed to be involved because I quoted the case. And nobody that's elected to a position is allowed to involve themselves in an election lawsuit. So because she is currently already a civil servant working for Upper Darby Township, she is not allowed to involve herself, and she did.
Yeah, this is This is the stuff I railed against for years.
Mm-hmm.
You got Frumpy Fanny down in Georgia. You got Latoya James and Fat Alvin up in New York,
Yep.
and Judge Mershon
Yep. I mean, as
instructing
crazy as
a
they come.
jury. He instructed a jury to find Trump guilty.
Yeah.
If you read his instructions, he's telling the jury
That he was already guilty.
make him guilty, declare him guilty, and then connect all that back to the charge you're considering right now. Which means when they did go with the made up federal charge, which they had no business messing with,
Yep.
it automatically produces a guilty verdict
Yep.
for everything that comes before it, whether going into deliberations or not.
They thought that way.
They might not have thought he was guilty, but once you put it all together, you follow Juan Perfect Pretty Hair Mershon.
Yep.
And then you hear this in a county level. People want to think, oh yeah, the big cities and the federal government, they're all dirty.
No.
But it's us. It comes down to the local level, this kind of chicanery, this kind of hateful behavior.
And it gets worse from there. I mean, so during that case, asked Judge Pagano, I said, sir, could I get a written opinion on this? So I asked him right then and there. He said no, that he wasn't going to do that. It wasn't necessary. And they used case law, because I even presented the case law in my briefs. And then I also mentioned them during the case, saying, here's a state of Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling stating that I should still be on the ballot. And so there was already a case to this. And he decided, instead of using the Supreme Court ruling, that he was going to use a ruling from a case in Delaware County from 5 years ago instead, where the person wasn't aware of the Supreme Court rulings. So they only used for their prior cases the Delaware County cases. They refused to use the Supreme Court cases. And as the Supreme Court said, this was not enough to take a candidate off the ballot.
But you went on to nail that, Judge, on a point of procedure.
So since then, since what's going on since then is we kept an eye on my case, and we made sure to screenshot and document everything that is on my docket almost hourly since the case started. All right. So 3 times I asked him written to write an opinion. I asked the same judge, Judge Pagano, I think it was the 21st, the 23rd, and like the 25th. And then from there, after he said no 3 times in writing, and he had already said no verbally, we then brought the case to the appellate court, which is the Commonwealth Court of Pennsylvania. All of a sudden, my case started on the 28th. On the 1st, I get served that night by the mailman.
1st of April.
The 1st of April.
Yeah.
It was either 1st or 2nd of April. No, it was I'm sorry, it was the 2nd.
Okay.
I get served with the opinion from Judge Pagano, where he had already refused it 4 times. And so the funnier thing is, we didn't understand because earlier that day on the 2nd, James Fitzpatrick of Zimmelong Law had written an opinion, or written an order to put in, where it cited the opinion of Judge Pagano, which was like, where's this opinion coming from?
Yeah, really.
So he had already had the opinion to write his, you see what happened? And here's where the real slimery comes on. They backdated it to the 28th of March, stamped it with a different stamper. You could see they used a different stamper than what they use over at the courthouse. So they used an older stamper, and this is where it even gets better. They have USPS mail over at, as we all know, over at the courthouse.
Right.
That's how they send everything out. Magically, they had printed out something to ship out via UPS instead.
Yeah.
So Brown, on the 28th, to make it look like they sent it on the 28th, right? Funnier story, because UPS tracks everything, they didn't even drop it off with UPS until April 2nd. So why would they drop something off outside their building when they have United States Postal Service mail and they could stamp their own postage right there inside the damn office?
And
you know why?
The date. What was what was the benefit? Who benefited?
So that they could make it look like he got the opinion in on time. To make it look like it was from the 28th instead of April 2nd. Which, by the way,
in other words, you had that missing line of paperwork or whatever, and instead of going to like they would have done for anybody on that board right now, hey Charlie, you gotta put that financial page in. Okay, here, it's in. Instead of doing that, they decide, this is our chance, you know, which again, it screams Charlie's on the right track, because these guys.
By the way, I can't talk about it yet.
You're around.
By the way, I can't even talk about it yet until after this case is over. But it's even more sinister than that. And when I tell people what actually happened eventually, they're going to be sick to their stomach.
When that final chapter comes out, I want to break it. I want you to
be there with you.
Anytime, day or night. We'll sit down, man.
And then
we'll send it.
What's best is
Chris.
I'm seeking sanctions on every single one of these attorneys. I am seeking sanctions on Judge Pagano, and I will be taking them to court because of what they've done to me. They have trampled my civil rights.
Yeah.
Everything that's going on so far is an absolute disgrace to the state of Pennsylvania. And I'm sorry, but we need to stop.
They're messing with your First Amendment rights.
100%. Yeah. And we need to stop these people from pushing good people out of running for office, because it's not just me. It's the 42 other people in Montgomery County, Republican and Democrat. It's the however many others in Bucks County. And my case will be a presidential case that'll help all these others into stopping this procedure from going on. Because why are we hunting our candidates before they even start?
Yeah,
that's disgusting.
What happened to having a sack and meeting your opponent in debate? You know, trying your luck at the ballot box instead of saying, "Oh, this guy might beat me," or "This guy, if he comes in, he'll change too much. So what we'll do is we'll lawfare him out of business."
100%. Because they've been at this longer than me. This is my first rodeo.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally, and they caught me while I was doing chemo of all things. Not, imagine if they caught me going full cylinders, they wouldn't even have caught me. And I'll guarantee you that. Mm-hmm. But if I wasn't on chemo, there wouldn't be this conversation going on right now. Which you know what? I'm happy it did happen this way, because it shows how much dirtier they are than we even imagined. And the funny thing is, you're right. What happened to meeting me in the primary and saying, especially as they keep saying, I'm just a flash in the pan and I'm not that important and I'm not that well known in Delaware County, then what are you afraid of? Is it because your candidates, am I outclassing your candidates? Is that what's going on? Is that what you're afraid of? Why would you want me off the ballot if I wasn't such an issue? Or if there was no chance I'm going to get elected, like you keep saying? I mean, they keep saying these things in the newspaper, but their actions tell me otherwise. And then, the funniest one is the whole lie of, on that Facebook post, there was only a handful of people that made those 400 comments. When they put that press release out, it wasn't a handful of people. It was like close to 200 to 300 people that were voicing their outrage at what was going on. Yeah. And then maybe a handful of GOP people that were supporting the whole thing.
That knucklehead who made a mistake of trying to take me on X the other night.
That's what they do. Like, and they think they're like they believe their own lies.
Yeah. Yeah. Now this guy is a politician. The guy I was spanking the other night,
Most likely,
a
yeah.
politician, right? Is a shill for one of these
He
people.
is somebody that has been mentioned as a GOP leader. That's what he was mentioned as in the Inquirer.
What a punk.
hmm Somebody likes to try and buy people out of races.
Anyway, folks, this is your mission, Delaware County. This is your chance. If you look at what's happened to your county, if you look at some of the things we're going to talk about here in just a second, you consider what's being done to a perfectly nice guy, a good citizen, a man who said, I'm going to involve myself. I'm going to be a part of the answer. They are trying to discourage exactly what people say we should do.
Yeah.
If you think you can make a change, get involved. If you're not happy with the situation, get involved. Support a candidate, run for office, volunteer. And here we got a guy doing that, and the people, the opponents in his own party,
Yeah.
and powers in the county seat
hmm
are doing their best to not face Charlie in debate, to not face Charlie at the ballot box,
Yeah.
but to force him to stop doing the very thing good Americans need to do when they see a problem or they think they can make an improvement.
Mm.
So,
It,
Delaware County, get out for Charlie, support Charlie. Before we move on, Charlie,
mhm.
um, are are you still in the race, or do you have to get back in it based on
I have to get back in the race. I will not be running a writing campaign. I
you're
can't
doing it
even
right?
talk. Now, if people want to write me in, that's on their agenda. I will not be running a writing campaign. If I do not get back on that ballot, uh, I will be looking over my options and probably going through them and acting on one of them. Um, I do believe that I will be restored to the ballot once they hear this case. But as you can see, it's been 12 business days now since my case has been started over with the Commonwealth Court. They have added three of Shapiro's attorneys, one from his governor's office, one from his elections office, and another one from his other office.
Arranged,
Why they added those three attorneys? What's that?
arranged against you? Three
They're
more?
arranged against me. They're on the side of Zimmelong. So, I mean, that tells you that they're worried. At least even Shapiro's worried about me getting back on this ballot. And I know why.
We'll
And
save that for the final chapter, but
that will be our final
on to
chapter
that
when
one.
I get elected.
But
I will let everybody know why Shapiro is afraid of me there. And
yeah,
he knows why, and he knows what I know. And so does the Delaware County GOP. And that's why they don't want me as a candidate, because we can't have this stuff going on. This is why we are being thrown off the fiscal cliff of Delaware County.
I want you to, when we get off
hmm
tomorrow, I mean this will come out on Wednesday morning. So tomorrow morning, if you can get to it,
Yep.
send me links and addresses to all your reps in the PA legislature
Okay.
for all the precincts in the
Yep.
county area and your
Yep.
county state. Is it senator? Or do they do
Yeah,
congressman?
we have a senator, we have a state senator, we have a so Tim Kearney's our state senator, and
And a rep.
Jennifer Omar is our state representative, and
Yeah.
then we have Mary Gay Scanlon is our congresswoman here, and then our five county council members are all Dems.
Okay.
You got an unelected official in Jim Allen who runs our elections now, which is criminal in its own self. Why a man from Cook County, Illinois, or yeah, Illinois. Is it Illinois or yeah, Cook County, Illinois? Why he's here running our elections when he's an Obama guy is just I don't know,
Yeah.
beyond me.
He's running
Um,
your elections because he learned from the scum of politics.
mhm.
But the what I want to do
By the way, one can I
is
say one thing
put a
about him real
link
quick?
below the media line. People will get links
hmm
so they can send emails and snail mail and phone calls to all these yahoos to say, look what the hell's happening down here in Delaware County, and what are you going to do about it?
Can I speak one more thing on Jim Allen?
Sure, sure.
This is an individual. So there was a woman that I came to know. She helps with hand counting. So she teaches others how to hand count. And as you know, what's going on with our national politics right now, President Trump is pushing us towards a hand counting system that we want to see paper ballots
Yeah.
and hand counting. So she was out to teach people this last year. And I had come in contact with her. She is a wonderful person. And she would hold these seminars. Well, Jim Allen showed up to one of those seminars with a bunch of women there. No men were there. And he ripped up the paperwork and he intimidated these poor women and made threats that he was going to contact the FBI. And if they touched any of the ballots anywhere, they were going to go after them. And so that's the kind of person we're dealing with here in Delaware
Tell me
County.
somebody had a phone going when that happened.
They didn't, but here's the best part. The county, both the council and the Board of Elections have already admitted that they know what happened, and they are not only okay, but they're happy that he did what he did. And that's on camera. And Ashley Lunkenheimer, who is our head of our Board of Elections, she's the one that vocalized that the most, where she was proud.
Can you offline, give me her contact information?
Will do.
The lady who wants to do the paper ballots?
Will do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now she's been completely intimidated, unfortunately, and she's scared to even be out there.
Really?
And it's a shame because she is an extremely good person, and she means nothing but well for Delaware County.
Maybe I can get her to give me some quotes, even anonymous,
Mm-hmm.
so I can get the ball rolling, because I'm a big paper ballot fan. When you
So
have
am I.
when you have a scanner sitting right there, you run the ballot through, boom, it's set aside, boom, boom, boom. By the time the last person has voted, zoop, it's counted.
Yep.
You already know how many. Now you can have 15 people flip through and count.
Yeah.
Yes, we have this many ballots.
And make sure that it matches those scanners. That's all that needs to happen. I'd be okay with that.
And then turn them in. We could have our results from California by midnight, 1 o'clock. You know,
Easily.
the entire country is counted immediately.
And Matt, we used to have our results it wasn't until the Bush-Gore election, we had our results by 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And that's how long I've been following elections, because I remember following as a fourth grader, following Clinton versus Gore. We used to be, this is the same argument you have with, if we used to have the technology to go to the moon, why can't we go to the moon today?
Yeah.
Like, we used to have the technology to finish and nobody ever complained that the elections were rigged.
Right.
And our elections were done within one day.
Back with
And now-
technology, it was harder to mess with an election with the old technology. And it was perfectly efficient if it was just a sound victory, not necessarily a landslide. You knew an hour after polls closed.
Oh, yeah.
If it was really close, it could go several hours. In the case of Truman, which was in 48,
Yeah.
you had the Dewey newspaper, because sometime early on, somebody projected that Dewey was going to win, and they published it.
Yep.
But already by the next morning,
They knew.
you know, Truman walks out of his house holding the newspaper, laughing, because he knew the next morning he had won.
Yep.
Anybody who says paper ballots are a problem of any kind is a liar, or an ignoramus.
Yep.
Same with voter
Or they're a
ID.
criminal.
Yeah, or they're a criminal. Same with voter ID. The people who don't want voter ID don't want it because they want to have every opportunity to scam the system and cheat and get illegals to vote and so on and so on.
And they're the most racist people out there. Because to tell me that an African American does not have a license is the goofiest thing I ever heard.
Yeah. And now,
I mean,
now women are stupid. Now women, according to the Democrats, are dumber than a bag of hammers, because if they get married, they'll end up sitting in the corner not knowing what to do about their last name. And they're really pursuing these kind of arguments.
Yes, because they have no
minorities
legs.
are too stupid, women are too stupid, and people buy it. People invite it into their lives.
It's the same thing as like what I argued all summer. I argued all summer that the biggest problem with the illegal immigrant population isn't the illegal immigrants themselves.
No.
It's the racist system that comes with it, where you're talking about what is it called? Indentured servitude and all these other things that come with. And as we talked about during the original podcast with you and Ron, this is what comes with illegal immigration. It causes problems with the indentured servitude, with their own health and welfare and safety, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have just the health and welfare of everybody else around, because you're packing more people into a house. You're talking about the increase in taxes because now trash and sewer, and as we've seen this year, people that got their trash and sewer bills are not happy because it's up 30-40%. Well, that's what happens when you have a neighbor
because they're paying for all the houses with 20 illegals in them.
Exactly, and they don't even
their
realize
utility bills and sewer tax.
Because they're not paying their sewer tax. It's not, the sewer company doesn't know which house it's all coming out of. They just know the average. And they just know that there's an increased load because you have more people living in an area than ever before.
Yeah.
And because you have an increased load, that rate goes up. It's so wild to me that people aren't able to put these things together, and it takes somebody else to show them and literally walk them by the hand, or they don't even notice until it affects their own pocket. And then you try to explain it to them, and they tell you, oh, you're racist because you think this way. And
if it all happens slow enough, they don't even fight them. It's digging into their pocket, but it happens gradually.
I mean, you got,
what's his name? I got the kids' little league. I'm busy. Football games this week.
That's what they have everybody distracted with, is the ins and outs of life. And I get it. My own best friends, like, I talk to them. They got kids' sports. They're like, I can't go to a council meeting. I want to. They support me. But like my one buddy texts me, he's like, you're the last patriot. He always texts me that, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're the last patriot at Delco. And he thinks exactly like I do. Problem is, he's scared for his job. He's scared for his family. And this is where they have everybody by the balls.
You're now in the perfect position to kick somebody's ass. And I hope
I don't have to worry about anybody hurting my kids. I don't have to worry about anybody hurting my wife. I don't have a girlfriend to worry about. And I'm not going to Little League practices and things like that. So I have a whole lot of time on my hands to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm in my position I'm in, because it's not anything but the grace of God that put me here.
Hey, before I let you go,
mm-hmm.
Have you been keeping tabs on the hospitals and what's going on there? And
Delaware County, I was last there about a month ago at the hospital. There was definitely activity on the inside, but I can't tell you whether it was illegals inside there, or if it was janitors, or if it was security guards, but there hasn't been that many people working there.
But
to see that
some funky stuff going on there.
I could show you some really nasty things that have going on there. I do know that somebody, whether within the county or the county health department or within Crozier's system, because it was, and I wish I had screenshots of this to prove it. I only have the aftermath, and I know what was going on, and I have video of it. There was some meetups that they were hosting via apps that were for basically people of another persuasion, let's put it that way, nicest way to put it, where they were meeting up there and having orgies.
I was
And
about
my
to say
brother
they were having mass dates.
and my brother and I stumbled upon one of these events just accidentally because we were there making sure it wasn't illegals going in.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what we had stumbled upon at the time, and it was a loud noise, and I could not figure it out for the life of me that night. And my brother wanted to run into the door and just go like surprise whoever was behind it. And I'm like, let's not do that. I don't know. We don't know what's going on in there. It could be a wild animal. We have no idea what got stuck behind those doors.
Right.
The next day we went back early in the morning, and I had my camera rolling, and we went right into that door. We didn't even take any breather. We didn't even have any weapons on us. That's the funniest part. I never take weapons with me because I don't want them saying that I was there armed for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we go in, and there written on the wall, and I'll send you this, was a note by one of the people that participated the night before.
Yeah.
And it is the grossest thing I've ever read in my entire life. And it detailed what was going on. And let's just say what we found on the floor and everywhere else in that little area, it guarantees what was going on that night, because it was
That paraphernalia was laying around.
there was paraphernalia all over the floor, and I was just like, I wanted to throw up. And it smelled like it too. And me and my brother got out of there. We were like, all right, that's what was going on. And then my brother goes to work, and one of his coworkers is on the app Grinder, and sure enough, he found proof of what we were talking about. And it was a meetup that was advertised on there, and it seemed like it was advertised by a public like health type of deal.
Really?
And he did not get screenshots. And I every time I talk to the guy now, I'm always like, dude, have you ever seen it again? And please take screenshots this time.
Shit.
Because if we could connect that to the county, I mean, it is some very, very disturbing things that were going on there. And I, in hindsight, know that I caught what was going on there going on at least 2 or 3 times. And I just didn't know what was going on until that last time I went there. We went inside and we figured out ourselves.
I remember way back in our first show,
Mm-hmm.
when you were on with me and Ron,
Mm-hmm.
you said the hospital's supposed to be closed, but there's people in there. There's some shit going on there. And I'm wondering if that's how far back all this twisted stuff goes.
So I think I found that out a week or 2 after I was on with you guys. So we stumbled upon that a week or 2 later. And it's funny because there's other stuff that was going on there.
Yeah.
I just can't, a lot of it, I mean, the doors are all wide open. Number one, why?
That's an attractive nuisance. That's a dangerous thing.
100%. And I would watch people walk in, and then I was finding food orders. So like receipts that were recent for large meals just stuck into the trash can right next to the door as they're walking into the building. Who's eating food and going in there? There was no more hospital. Sorry, excuse me. There wasn't more hospital employees.
Bitch, right?
They were working on the roof. They did have a crew working on the roof, but they were like, I asked them, like, are you guys ordering food late at night? And it was timestamped. And so I'm sitting there like putting this together. And then me and my brother were cleaning the parking garage out a lot, right? Because we wanted to make sure we knew what trash was new and not. And so we would make sure to clean things out of the way, or at least put them somewhere we knew. And we were still finding more and more stuff, more and more evidence that people have been there recently.
Yeah.
And we joked about possibly wearing a burqa and walking in and seeing if they stop us.
Yeah.
I mean, we joked about it. We never did it. I definitely said it on the live stream a bunch of times. Now, I flew the drone around the hospital a few times and was able to peek into a couple of the windows, and there's people in there. And there wasn't supposed, I mean, this is months after the hospital closed. It's funny because I ran into, I think his last name's Esposito, the guy that's the head of Crozier, right?
Yeah.
And I'm almost positive that's his name. He was at a county council meeting and he tried to like sneak out the back, right? I walked out in the hallway and I said, hey, not for nothing. Why have you not locked the doors of Delaware County Memorial Hospital yet? This is like you're asking for trouble. Like, why is the shed open that has gas canisters in it? I mean, we're talking about pressurized oxygen
Mm-hmm.
just sitting out there for some kid to come and light a fire with it and blow it up, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever else they could do with it. I mean, you're talking about liability, and it's like they want to be sued, kind of like the county with Don Winella. Like they want to be sued.
We have gone through the looking glass in terms of fiscal responsibility, physical security, any kind of leadership, although that's probably a administration, any kind of administration based on anything other than what can I get out of it?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you end up with Delaware County in its present state.
Oh, 100%.
A lot of people didn't freak out when Springfield and Delaware County closed. I mean, they were upset, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody thought, well, you got Crozier, you got Taylor, you got Fitz. You know,
And you got Riddle and you got Lankenau, and
Yeah.
so you have Taylor, Crozier, Fitz, Lankenau, and you got Bryn Mawr. I was freaking out because
but
I saw,
now you don't have Taylor and Crozier.
you know, we're hoping we still do.
Thank you, Obamacare.
And that's exactly what did it to the system. People don't understand that. It's not only the Obamacare though, too. A lot of it had to do with just Prospect Medical Holdings being allowed to own the hospital.
That's what I mean by thank you, Obamacare.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of Wall Street insinuating itself into the medical industry instead of professionals running the hospital. Now you have hedge fund managers
Mhm.
asserting itself into the hospital, treating it like a piggy bank,
Yep.
taking away all its strengths, and then letting it close.
Well, we know that for at least one of the buildings, and I'm trying to find out with all of them, but it's hard to kind of figure out their addresses and go find it on the tax bills.
Mhm.
What they were doing is they were selling the properties to their shell corporations underneath and then renting the buildings back to Crozier at an unaffordable rate. So that this is the same way they got rid of Sears and all of our other American businesses. And this is why like Sears and Toys R Us still exist overseas, but they don't exist here because we allowed Wall Street to purchase them. Then they sold the property out from underneath them, leased it back to them for an unmanageable rate, and looted the whole thing. This is what's happened here in Delaware County.
Yeah.
And nobody understands that. And that's why I am calling on Dave Sunday, who's our attorney general. He should seize the properties, put a manager in charge, somebody from a hospital chain in charge of this thing to run it. And I'm not talking state run as that moron wanted to
that
say.
moron the other day. He's talking about socialized medicine. No. Professional
Find
medicine.
somebody to buy this system like University of Pennsylvania, and you know what? Sell it to them on pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Prospect made out like a bandit, and we should honestly be finding and seizing their funds because of what they did here in Delaware County.
Right. They should absolutely.
And the fact that Jack Stolzheimer hasn't started an investigation yet, what are you waiting for, Jack? And then they're perfectly playing us, and everybody knows it. I mean, you continually watch every 2 weeks, it's going to be, or every 10 days now, it sounds like, they're going to be closing the doors and they're going to be strong arming us for another $10 million or $15 million to keep the doors open when they damn well have the money because they overcharge our insurance companies.
Right.
So where's the money? And then you got to wonder, why all of a sudden is the Delaware County GOP snapping at me, because that's who that is, about me talking about this hospital and then getting, I mean, everybody should be calling out for an investigation into where the money went and who was pocketing it. Do you have no-show jobs that your brothers and sisters and uncles or maybe a state committee person. Do they have all no-show jobs? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Do they have Crozier no-show jobs? Is that what we're dealing with? Because I'd like to know. Because why would anybody be defending Prospect Medical Holdings? Because all we know is that they're a criminal organization, it seems like, that bankrupted a hospital system that, Matt, I don't know what year you moved out of Delaware County, but we had the most robust health system for any city/county right next door. Delaware County, Philadelphia, you couldn't have been happier with the hospitals.
Yeah.
I mean, we lived in a place where the hospitals, you could be taken anywhere. As long as it wasn't Springfield Hospital, you were pretty happy with where you went.
Right.
I mean, and then today, now
I've never
that's
even
not the
saw
case.
Springfield Hospital. I grew up in Delco. I've never laid eyes on Springfield Hospital in my life.
Believe it or not, I had my thumb sewn back on there. And they took me to Springfield Hospital, which took 14 hours to sew it back on.
Can you still use it? Does it still function?
I still function. I have function. I don't have feeling. Like, I can squeeze it as hard as I want.
Yeah.
There is no feeling in the thumb. It's funny because I don't have feeling in the other thumb either from another surgery I had.
Crazy.
So both my thumbs lack any feeling inside of them.
Well, listen, man, as always, it's been fun talking to you.
Great talking to you too.
I use that term fun reservedly, considering what we're talking about.
It's not, I mean, we are in a place where
Delco, we got to get behind this guy. I'm telling you, we got to get behind Charlie.
I even have
To make
proof
this
Shapiro
happen.
stands against me.
And like I said, let me know, all those contacts and information.
Absolutely.
And
Will
the
do.
lady with the paper ballots.
Absolutely.
Let me know if you get back in, if you settle things where you're back in the race.
And the minute I do, I'm hoping tomorrow they rule on this
And
because
the
they
final
could.
chapter on Shapiro and the final chapter on council guys that are
Definitely going to be upset. Yep.
Uh,
Will do.
but we'll get to all of it, and hopefully, what's the debt? When's May something is the
May 20th is the whatchamacallit. So the deadline, I mean, I got to think for the ballots has got to be soon.
yeah.
And so, I mean, legally, once I'm put back on that ballot, they have to put me on the ballot.
Yeah.
I gotta
when's your
hope.
next court date? When are you supposed
Well,
to?
so they're not doing a court date. They're gonna do things off the briefs.
Okay.
And so that's how they do things. None of us show up. That's why it's sort of surprising they haven't done anything yet.
Who you talking to in the media?
Who do I talk to?
Yeah.
Linda Stein's been a good contact. Kathleen Carey's been a very good contact.
Who?
Kathleen Carey of the Delaware County Daily Times.
Yeah.
Then there's Katie Bernard of the Inquirer, who loves to call me a right-wing whatever. I mean, she never lets that go. She calls me a right-wing activist every time she mentions me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I
What
guess I
about
am.
TV media?
They stay away from all this as much as they can. I mean, you try to message these people. They don't want anything to do with it. Or if they have interviewed me, they've cut the interviews completely, like Tracy Davidson did. The gentleman from CBS 3, I mean, he never even aired any bit of my interview that I had almost a year ago with him. Now, funnily, I had the interview because somebody taped it from behind him. So I ended up putting it out there on my own. But this is what they do. They like to silence anybody that speaks in a way that they can't control. They have to control narratives. And Matt, I'm not somebody that's able to be controlled. I hate to break it to them. Like, I think they know this now, and this is why they stand against me. I won't be controlled.
Yeah.
There's nobody that's.
I'm going to see if I can get maybe through Duke or Chris some contacts at like Newsmax, Fox,
That would be great because that would be
places like that to come in and discuss this with you.
Jack Posebiak's always been great with me, and I haven't been able to get a hold of him lately. His brother reached back out and was like, listen, you need to get this to somebody else. And I sent it to that other person. They never responded. Kevin's always been, I don't know if you've seen him, but he's interviewed me a few times now. Kevin Posobiec. He's a great guy. I've met him. He really is. He seems like he's a genuine, concerned individual for our country.
I just want people in Delaware County to hear it.
And that's what needs to happen. If we could get on Newsmax,
we have a
we
presence.
get on OAN.
This will be a big show. Delaware County is a good place for the people to be, but we're damn sure no TV station or radio station.
Yeah. Our TV stations are all. It was funny. Nick Cale, I was on with a bunch of times, and I've been sending him everything that's going on right now, and nothing back. I mean, he'll tweet back at me other things, but if it's about politics, I don't know if the Delco GOP has such an in with them.
What
'Cause
about
you think
Larry
that-
Mente?
I don't know where he's at these days.
I went to school with it. He just went to Greenland with J.D. Vance.
Did he really?
Yeah. He
No
come-
way. Who's he working for?
We got to
these
get
days?
hold of Larry, man. Just keep me posted and send me as many links as you can possibly think of. And
Yeah, we'll do.
I'll go to Duke and Chris and maybe Larry.
Yeah.
And we'll work that angle and see if we can't get more digits and electrons out there talking about you.
Awesome. That would be appreciated.
All right, my friend, you take care. Have a
God bless.
finish this week and kick ass. Okay.
Thank you very much, Matt. We'll
All
talk
right,
soon.
buddy.
Please tell a friend about the Free Zone Communiqué. We live and die with the share and subscribe buttons. Please use affiliate and sponsor buttons to support our work. Thank you very much for joining us today.